Morning, and we are back for another episode of Entrepreneurs Unplugged. We are in season 2, episode 7, and I am Tanisha Stallnaker, CEO and founder of SVS. We are your go-to all things systems, automation, system strategy, and more. And so I'm excited to come to you this morning. As we know, Entrepreneurs Unplugged is intentionally titled because anything is possible during these 20 to 30 minute conversations. Whether it's connectivity issues, dogs, cats, kids, family, whatever. But that's part of just the life of an in-home business owner and service provider. So I wanted to be true to the reality that it's life. And so at least in my house, everybody's home. So anything's possible. But I wanted to introduce our guest today, and we have Tara Whitney Rison with us. And so I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. While you're doing that, I am just going to make sure that we are actually live where I've said we were going to be live. So while you're talking, if you see me looking around, it is just because I'm making sure that the technology is doing the things.
We love when technology does the thing. So thanks so much, Tanisha. It's so good to see you. It's been a while. Like last time we just had such a robust conversation, just you and I. So I was excited for this time. So hey, everyone, I'm glad you're here. If you're watching later or streaming later, excited for you to tune into the conversation. But I am Tara Whitney Rison. I am a certified health coach. I'm training nutritionist. I'm an actor and an artist. And I'm the founder of Radical Refill. And so Radical Refill is an artistic wellness company. I love to make sure that I say that first, but we are an artistic wellness company, and we work with a lot of high-performing people, those who are dealing with and juggling multiple labor, whether that's being a full-time parent and being a CEO executive, being a full-time artist and having 9-to-5 jobs, caregiver, et cetera, et cetera. And we really support them in what we call refilling their cup, helping them to get out of the way of burnout. And we do that through hosting creative wellness experiences that blend nutritional counseling and restorative practice. And so we've just been diving full force into a lot of the things that are happening this year. I'm so excited about all of them. I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit, but I'm happy to be here.
As I go to talk and I'm completely on mute. Thank you for the information. Now I'm intrigued by a couple of things, but we'll get to that in just a moment. For those that are out there, we are live on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Hopefully you can see us on Facebook because Facebook loves to make it completely private for some reason. So fun. But, I think your channels are also live as well. So we have audiences from both sides. If you have anything that you want to chime in, you can just put a comment in the chat. And as long as it's not something super weird like our good friends on YouTube like to do, we will bring it on the screen and add it to the conversation. So feel free to hop in the chat and ask any questions. So the topic you pick, I already understand, just given the nature of what you do, why it was a good topic for you, but I still like to kind of hear it from you directly. You chose to talk about stress management and burnout prevention. As an avid burnout myself,
You're starting off there, huh?
I mean, I'm just being real honest, because if you look at the episodes on this topic, I think that I end up being the test case every single time. So I've just decided to embrace it. That some people call themselves like a high-level crash out. I'm just high-level burnout. And so I'm the president and founder of Burnout Anonymous. But, why is this topic important to you, whether it's just for today or even just in your business? What drove you to this?
Well, I say a lot, often that I was a burnt out actor. That's how I started. And I think when we attach burnout to things, it's in these really high level situations where somebody's working for big companies or even traditional ways of work. And we think it's like the traditional employee level of burnout. But burnout, it may be described by the World Health Organization as, occupational stress that's not really successfully managed. But burnout in our day and age has shifted completely because the way in which we work has shifted completely. People are all kinds of things. They wear multiple hats and they work from multiple places. They're international. They work from home. We're hybrid. People are stay-at-home parents. So it's not, I don't always think it's accurate to just kind of tie burnout solely to workplace stress. It's the stress of the labor in which we're performing all the time. And that's usually people who are in service. Sorry.
Getting my burnout thumbnails together. When we start the officially launch.
Oh no, talk about the replay. That's going to be phenomenal. And so being, a burnout actor, where I was like, literally, I think I said this to you last night, I was doing the song and dance for everyone. I was getting audition fatigue. And then I wasn't working in the way that I wanted to. And on top of that, I was not really financially stable either. I didn't have what I needed, yet I was trying to keep myself open while also keeping myself booked and busy. And I'm like, well, how does that work? And then from there, I also had a chronic disease. I had a condition that I was trying to manage that was constantly active and being flared up, and traveling and going different places and always preparing and on the go. It did nothing to support my body at all. Yeah. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit that it forced me to slow down. It forced me to really pause. And I was sort of in the work of trying to kind of support my body in some ways already. But that time it was like, no, you really have to fully stop. It's not partially, it's fully. And at that point, all of the mediums in which I was an artist, like theater and film, all of those things, and even school where I was teaching, adjuncting at points, they didn't know how things were going to work anymore. We're like, is this the new norm? And it was for a while. Like we didn't know how it was going to come back. Theater was like, you had to be 6 rows from someone wearing a mask to like watch this, this performance that is supposed to be so intimate and personal and close. And now we're streaming theater. I was like, I never would have thought that was going to be, we're streaming theater. Are we just watching TV now? Like I'm confused at this. So it just was during that time that I allowed myself to fully rest and then ask myself, when I got back into the world of my artistry, how I was going to re-enter it. And it needed to be different. Something needed to change. And I had to really sit with myself and decide what that was going to look like. I was no longer going to operate in a place of chaos consistently and chronic stress to a point where my body was last and my health was not prioritized. I didn't want to continue working that way. And I certainly wasn't going to show up that way for other people. But I noticed that along my journey, even when I was working traditionally, that this was the way it was. I mean, we're in a capitalistic society, that's, we can really get into it, but yeah, that in one, when I said to myself, I'm not going to work this way. But then when other people are working that way, you really have to set boundaries for yourself. And you also have to ask questions, and you have to interrogate systems that want you to work to no end or go above and beyond, but also not be paid for it. And I'm like, I don't know when this was ever okay to do this.
Yeah, ready to give a charity.
I'm like, I don't know when this is okay. So I think between that, like that origin story, it made me sort of want to come back to myself, find where home again was. And from there, you can't unlearn what you find out, and I'm continuing my clinical nutrition degree right now, getting my state certification and licensure in terms of nutrition, because that was just so important to me, having a digestive disease. And I was like, if I can help myself, I can certainly help other people too. I know that I can. And that kind of just prompted all of this. It's why I want to talk about it so heavily. It's so meaningful to me. It's authentic to my own origin story. And this is oftentimes what I lead with, because it's so close to us. It's so part of what we do in our everyday life, is understanding the way in which we need to work.
So what changed? What did you change from the chaotic side to the more balanced side? And if I copy any of it later, just let me go with that. But I'm still a work in progress. It's the joke for me. Every time I take something off of my plate, I put two things in place of it.
Well,
girl math.
no, hey, this is unplugged, so this is all
crazy girl math
on the table. Yeah. I think one huge thing was there was a mindset reset that needed to happen. I had to release certain beliefs and certain ideas that I gathered over time about what it meant to get things done, what it meant to be successful, what it meant to feel accomplished, even just on a day-to-day basis, not in our whole life, right? Not in the grand scheme of things, but also just day to day. It was okay to put something down and it be unfinished. But we get caught up in sort of what's professional, what isn't. And we gather these narratives that are not always realistic and that are not always healthy. And so it was pinpointing those things for me, what the narratives I was telling myself about what other people were going to think about how I showed up and what professionalism was, because it's subjective, and begin to replace those with how is my body going to feel in 2 years? How is my body going to feel by the end of the day? How is my stress level going to be by the end of the day? And when I started to replace those narratives, it became simpler. It became easier for me to let go of those things and begin to prioritize my health and my body first. And that's how I plan out my day. That's how I plan out my schedule. That's how I plan out my year, because I'm looking to see where the overwhelm is going to set in, and where the dysregulation is at its where I'm at capacity. And your body keeps the score. It will tell you. It will tell you. And sometimes for some people, it's way too late. For me, I had to spend several years trying to re-regulate my nervous system because Crohn's disease heavily impacted the nervous system because it was in the microbiome. It was in my gut. It affected my colon. So having to re-regulate that system for such a long time, it taught me. It taught me that I don't want to go dysregulated in any chronic way, really ever again. Yeah. So it was the wake up calls. It was the mindset reset. Those were the initial change for me.
Well, those are big things though, because while I've done some of them, typically by force though, and I did start that, the body keeps the scorebook. And after I felt like I was being attacked, I stopped it. But I was like, I'm going to finish it at some point when I can get myself together. I was like, somehow, somewhere, the author of this book has followed me and followed my life to put this book together. But, from anything like the health things, the not sleeping, the doing too many things at one time, that whole imposter syndrome, what does successful look like? What's professional look like? To show up. Like, even with these now, I'm better, but there's always that back of the thought of, you are being the master procrastinator. You didn't put makeup on and now you're going to be on camera. Or do I put on a decent looking blouse, or do I stay super honest and just put on the tank top and t-shirt? And sometimes it's the t-shirt or the tank top because my brain is just like, I can't stress anything else. So just be glad I showed up and I showered first, Right. But, as I've also told people over the years now, I don't worry about the professional as much, at least from here down. And I know people whose businesses are completely designed around how you show up and what you put on and what that says about you. And that's great. But, being that my focus is systems and automation, it doesn't mean that I can't dress up for it. But I think the biggest thing that's the most important is what's in here and what comes out of here. Because that's going to be the thing that builds trust. And if you don't trust me because I'm not dressed up when we get on a video call and that I don't look like I'm wearing a suit from here up, then we're probably not aligned anyway. Right. And so that's one big change for me is letting that part go 98%.
It's a huge
98%. There's still a 2% thing there where it's like, do you want to put makeup on? Okay. the comedy is, it's not because I don't have it. It sits here. Yeah. So I at least got it out the drawer. I put a little something on my lips so it'd be super dry. But the
But it's a
20-pound
huge
bag is
part.
there. Yeah.
Like,
But
I'm
I
glad you
think
said
it's
because this you. Sorry, you go ahead.
no. I was gonna say you had mentioned like how we're brought up, and some of it I think is generational, some of it I even think is cultural. But defining like what does work look like, and it's like if you're not logging 20 hours a day, did you even work? Or if you got paid, too much for an hour of work a day, you're lazy. And just all of those different beliefs that we have been taught, even as women, like in order to be a good woman or a good wife or a good mom, you got to be like exhausted and doing 75,000 things.
Oh,
And
gosh.
while I do 75,000 things, I try to at least do the things that I've chosen to do versus a whole day of have to. Because for me, the have to is the more exhausting thing than the actual doing of something. And so between surgeries, chronic health issues, hormones, menopause, hot flashes, all of those fun things, I have definitely stopped kicking myself if something is unfinished. And being just very honest with myself, my husband at times, if he's asking like, where with this, it's not done. It'll get done. It's just not done right now. And so being able to just say, look, right this second, I don't have it. So we're going to try again tomorrow. As a business owner, that's a little challenging because there's some things that have to happen. So I definitely leave space for the things that are like, if I don't get this done, the business won't be here tomorrow. But even then, sometimes I have to just be honest of my attention span was pretty much all dry all day today until 10 p.m. And then suddenly I had ideas and energy. And so I'm going to shift my day knowing that it might be that way. So I'm going to do some things during the day that are not as productive business wise, because I know I'm going to have that burst at 10 p.m. when everybody else is asleep. And so shifting and kind of give myself that mental permission of the world's not going to end if I don't sit and do this until 10 o'clock.
I was talking, I forgot who I was talking to the other day about this. Like, when did it become the norm, or maybe, or common? Because normal and common are different. They mean different things. But when did it become a normalized concept to be exhausted? Like exhaustion meant like success. And then if you were anything outside of that, because everyone's origin story is different. Some people, you got people in extremes of like, I was living in poverty and, or I was a single parent and I had to operate like this. And I'm like, those are stories of miraculous, resilient stories, and they're valid. But it's also valid to say like, no, I really took my time, and I am also a single parent, and I also didn't show up to do A, B, and C. I didn't run myself ragged. You may have felt like certain aspects of your life or your career took longer, but I saw a post recently and the other day, and it was like, moms are on a different timeline. Even like sometimes just women who are not moms are on a different timeline. Our timelines are different. So let's not sit here and just compare. It's apples to oranges. Our timelines are not the same. The way that we have to craft our day, like I have a good 5 hours, by 9 o'clock, I'm tapped out if the day starts at 5:30 in the morning. So I may have a good 5 hours. I'm also a student, also a wife, right? I'm also running a business, and there's also life outside of those things, like those particular roles. There's also life. There's also, I want to be in community. I have friendships. I want to walk outside. I like to exercise. It's like all of these things are part of your life. They're part of your day. So it's like this, exhaustion or rest as a reward, I just don't buy into that. I don't buy
Yeah.
into that because I don't know who is happy saying like, I'm so exhausted. I have headaches the size of like a grapefruit. That's how my mind is pounding. I have back aches. I have high blood pressure, but man, I got that contract and I'm feeling good. No one says that really.
Okay. I don't say it. I don't say it now. But at the same time, I can't say that I've never said it.
Okay.
I used to literally. So, like I said, I'm a master procrastinator, and some of that is just, it's not because I don't have time for things. There is a certain amount in the mornings or during the day where I'm just like, I ain't moving yet. I'm just not. I got a call. It's going to start at 11:30. If I get in the shower at 11:02, it gives me enough time to shower, do my skincare, my face, put my compression garment on because I had surgery, and then get to the computer by 11:25. And that's what I did. Everything's clean and dry and where it's supposed to be. But what I didn't do is makeup, but it used to be a thing of, I need to prove to somebody who I don't even know if anybody was looking or paying attention, but it was like proving to myself that I can do all the stuff. And that's where I put the value of myself from, being a 19-year-old single mom. I worked 2 jobs. I went to school. I had my daughter. I did all the things. And it was like, but the house stayed clean. And, I cooked and I did, well, not cooking at that point. I was like 20 years old and she was a baby. So it was like lettuce salads and pepperoni slices, so it wasn't anything fancy or it took any time. It was just us. Right. But, even from when I had my first AKA practice marriage, doing all the stuff then, the house had to be spotless. It had to look a certain way. When holidays came, I needed to cook all the food and cook 46,000 different things because that's what they did and that's what they expected. And so it was a thing for years of, even when I went back to being single and I was getting my bachelor's and all of that stuff, everything needed to have a place and everything needed to look a certain way and be done. And even if my back hurt, my knees hurt, my head hurt, all of that, at the end of the day, it was like I had 16 things on my list and I did 17 of them. And that was a successful day. Now I can't see straight. I'm exhausted and I might pass out in 5 seconds, but today is a win. I did all the things and extra. And I operated like that for years until 40 came around. And I had already been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder by that point. And I still was like, nah, screw that. I pushed through that too, because I pushed through other things. I pushed through divorce. I pushed through this. I've gotten through all of these things. I could do this too. Piece of cake. And then 40 came. And I always joke, it's like the warranty on my body. Similar to the warranty on our car. The day it expires, that's the day the engine breaks or like the tires fall off the car. It started to be that where it was like, what is happening? How is one little sprained ankle becoming something that's a chronic thing now for years? What is this one little paper cut that's now a massive scar on my hand? Like where is all of this coming from? And it got to be a point where even like I taught fitness classes for years, I could be in so much pain and I would hop up and teach that class, jumping around doing all the things, because for years, my body would at least go numb during that 60 to 90 minute class. I taught a 90-minute class by myself for years. And I might limp off the stage and go home and be sitting on ice for 2 days. Didn't matter. I got through the 90 minutes. No one saw a thing. I was able to push through. But there came a point where my body was just like, I don't know who the hell you think this is, but you can keep trying to push through, but I ain't got it. And so, but it started to show up in my body. It started to show up, when business started. It was super crazy during COVID, but in a good way for us because we do systems and tech and automation and all of that. But even then, there came to us, the massive crash for me was like 2023-ish, where between loss of close friends, health things coming to a head. I'd had major surgery the year before, where my body and my brain, even COVID, all those stuff, my body, brain, all of it was like, it felt like it was going against me. And it was like, what is happening? I've been a well-oiled machine for years. And now the machine is a little rusty. It's some crust around the edges. And
Mm,
no matter what I do, I can't get back to that machine.
mm,
And for a couple of years, it felt like a large sense of failure because I couldn't get there. And then now it's been more of a, hey, I don't know who you think I am. I'm not a machine. Now I'm
mhm.
offended if you can, come at me
Right.
expecting the machine that you might have gotten willingly years ago. Now I'm like, ooh, I'm not doing all
Yeah, right.
that. Get somebody else to do it.
The
So,
audacity now.
but I think what the difference now is the overwhelm for me comes from like it wasn't a gradual get there. It was a one day I was here, one day I'm here. There wasn't a transition period. So for my family, for anybody, it was
Mm.
just myself. Like one day I could remember 16 things, and one day I could barely remember what I wore that day. It literally was like the light switch was on, and then it just went off. And so
No.
when we have these conversations about like stress and burnout and stuff, my burnout now is definitely different because it's more of a burnout of me against me. I'm like, can I
Yeah.
get a little hit of 2023 me? Because in the beginning, I was pretty sharp. And now, the senility is hit. And I don't know.
Wow. Why did you say that?
So I have to give like our potential clients like a heads up, like, so listen, when I tell you about myself, let me
Mm.
just tell you a couple little side things. I got memory issues, I got this, I might sweat profusely on camera. I'm a lot to deal with. But the good news is the team that's going to take care of you, they're amazing. So
Right,
you only
right.
need me for a few minutes,
Putting the things in place.
Yeah. I was like, trust me, you don't have to rely on this brain. You see, you're safe. But even having to put that
Mm.
into it, was something for me to adjust to of not showing up to be perfect. Now it's like,
Ah.
you know, I'm very intelligent. I know a lot of things, but I'm not perfect. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie and say that I am because I'm not.
And it's funny is like when you said the word machines, it just kind of put this mental image in my head because I've heard other people say this. Like I might have even said this, at some points. And you're right. I mean, we're not machines. We're building these machines every day, but even they glitch.
Yeah.
Even they have problems, right? We rely heavily now on a lot of technology and it's super helpful, right? I use technology for my own business, but it cannot always be reliable. And
Yeah.
we want it to like, because it's the machine. It's supposed to be reliable. That's how it's built. It's built to do what we can't do. But sometimes it glitches. Sometimes it has problems. And so to think that a machine, an actual machine has problems occasionally, and like sometimes it messes up, we are equating ourselves to that when we're
Mhm.
not even in the slightest operate. We're not AI and we're not robots, we're not machines. And so when our being well oiled for me now is being nourished
Yeah.
and being regulated and having rest and understanding the ingredients that I need in my life in order to be productive. Like that's when I think of like well oiled, like that's what that looks like for me. And even still, even when I do all of those things, I
Mhm.
still not might not be somebody's 100%. But I've done what I need. That's my 100%. That all
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis. That's what my 100% is. But we're actually not even, especially when I talk with entrepreneurs already, it's like we're the 100% that they might think they're operating at, it's not even with proper nourishment. It's not even with like proper movement or supportive movement or a level of mobility that is going to help their system. Like, I mean, the greatest system of all is this one. It's the ecosystem that we
Yeah.
operate day to day. So in my mind, I'm like, well, how do we make that a KPI? How do we make health a key performance indicator? The indicator that's what we need to be measuring in terms of how we scale and how we grow our businesses, and specifically for entrepreneurs
Excuse
and
me.
founders. Like those are the things that we should be measuring. Like how well rested are we upon waking? Like that is a measurement. Like that is an absolute, and it's a really good one. Like if you think like how
Not for
well
me.
rested am I?
No. Let's say I'm already saying on mine, yeah, so we can go ahead and put an X by that one. What's the next one? What's the next one? I was like, not me waking up exhausted and ready for bed.
Right. No, yeah, right. And but saying like, okay, but what does that mean? Like, but yet most people are still going to do the 25 things. Many people are. I can't say most people. I'm not in everybody's home, but
Yeah.
the most of my audience is in that I'm waking up not well rested. I'm usually needing some kind of caffeine to get me through the day. I'm usually not well hydrated at all. And so by the time, 3 o'clock hits, I'm on my sixth cup and I'm wondering like what the problem is. I'm wondering what the issue is. And I've needed six.
Why am I doing this?
Like, why am I twitching? Like, why? No. And so it's like we start off in a deficit. I kind of compare, I'll compare a lot, I'll talk a lot about like the kind of the energy and nourishment we need for the day as part of like our health savings account. And when we're starting in the deficit, like when we're already in the negative, when we wake up, I couldn't see how we actually make it through like 12 people 14 hour days. And yet our nourishment is 6 cups of coffee, a salad because it's cute and we think that's just the way to go. No whole foods at all. And then no hydration. And now we got 6 meetings back to back. And we have to serve. So all of this output is not equal to the input. And it does not serve us in building anything, and definitely not in a sustainable way. So it's
given your scenario, in my use case, I try to put a little bit of balance in the imbalance that I already know that I'm going to have. For a month and a half, like the last month and a half, I had to sleep in a recliner because I had abdominal surgery. The funny thing is my back never hurt sitting in this recliner because I was kind of cocooned in a tight position and really couldn't roll over and do anything. And so I got used to sleeping there. And then, I was like, all right, well, I can take the compression off at night. So let me go get in the bed. Well, now I sleep in the bed. I sleep harder. And I can move around more, but I'm going to wake up with back pain like I did before I had surgery, just because I had spine surgery too. So it's a trade-off there. I'm going to drink the cup of coffee out of more habit than anything, but that's it. I'm not going to drink 6 cups of coffee. I've done that before. My body did not appreciate it. So, so it's like, I know I'm not going to over caffeinate, but I will hydrate. I will eat the salad just because I like salad.
Yeah, well, sounds good. Sorry, I didn't mean to knock salads. We don't want to
feel But no, I mean, I'm still gonna do some things as while I can't go to the gym right now the way I would want to. I do some lymphatic movement and stretching and stuff before I get started. I don't do meetings before 10 because I've done it, and time again, every single one of them were miserable. Whether it showed or not, sometimes I don't even know if you physically could have looked and realized how unhappy I was with the before 10 meeting. But if it was a sales call, very rarely do I close them because my energy is not even started yet. I just need some time to kind of process, whether it's because I'm folding clothes and it's something mindless that I can do before 10, or taking care of stuff, or resetting my area, or going for a walk, or going to a class, whatever it is, or just sitting and playing games on my phone. Whatever the thing is, I just want to do it until 10 o'clock. I don't stack my day with meetings anymore because, again, I've already shown time and time again, there's going to be a loss somewhere in there. The value that, the first or second person might have gotten is not going to be what the 6th or 7th meeting gets, because by that point, I'm tapped out. I am now, don't attack people. I am now using AI to help me be a better me. So things that I tend to forget, I'm now trying to remember to at least have AI do it. And the comedy is there. I've forgotten still some things. I've written a list. I can't read my own handwriting. No judgment. But I'm trying to find a way to take everything that sits in here that I remember for 2 seconds and then forget again, to just put it in some place where it's like, can this be automated to where it just happens and you just need to remind me to look at it, to check over it, make sure it's correct. And so I'm spending time doing the thing that I say that we do in our business, which is automation, but automation with empathy, because we're
Mhm.
not trying to replace people. You
Mhm.
know, like you said, there's machines for everything, but at the end of the day, a human is still the person that built the tool that built the machine.
Mhm.
So no matter what, even with AI, I have a side thing where I'm a contractor for companies that test AI prompts, and I test the effectiveness of the prompt and did it give the output that was given or based, so I'm testing it all the time. But my point is I'm still human. So if
Mhm.
I test it and I put some bad information in and for some reason the company accepts it, that already is tainting the validity of the AI in the first place. And
Mhm.
so there is no real technology around that does not have some type of human fingerprint on it. And so to me, there's always an opportunity for us to have some work. B, there's always the potential for human error, even in a machine.
Mhm. Mhm. And what's actually really powerful about what you said is like what it looks like what it looked like before in terms of how you operated and like what it
Mhm.
looks like now. And I just think it's the shift. Uh I can't well actually you tell me, like, what is it then? I know you mentioned like some of the health challenges. Then you even said like you mentioned surgeries, and there's been a few things like physically that just like you're just unable, or it's different, or
Yeah.
it's changed. And so I'm like, but what was it about like or emotionally or mentally that said like this isn't the way anymore, and like these are the thing I have to like I don't take meetings before 10, like where did that come from, right? Like, or I know I hydrate, or I don't over caffeinate, or like all those different things, like those are choices, those are like
Yeah.
everyday choices that you're making that
Yeah.
change the dynamic of how you are working. And so I'm like, where did that come from?
So, ironically, similar to if we're testing an automation or something in a system, you test it to see if it works. Where when I was younger, I was not conscious of the things that I was testing at all. But we're always doing it in some kind of way, shape, or form. So for me, if like right now, I know that I wake up exhausted, and when I say the exhaustion level is high, like our 15-year-old was like, "You might need to go to the doctor," because she's like, "Yes, you've been tired and all that stuff," and I'm used to hearing that. But
Mhm.
like lately, you don't even realize that we're like you might start a conversation and we leave the room for 30 seconds and you come back and you're out, or mid sentence. My husband's like, "You've fallen asleep 3 times just in trying to talk to me this morning." And it's been like that since the surgery, since I got back in the bed. So I'm like,
Oh,
cool. So I'm taking that as my body is still healing, whether I
mhm,
want it to be done or not. There's still reminders that I did have surgery where it's like, we're not done healing yet. Slow your roll. So I give myself some grace in the sense of this isn't going to be forever.
mm,
My alarm is set for 7:20. My husband's like, "Why do you keep an alarm?" Because you literally in your sleep hit the button and go right on back to sleep. And I was like, I have it in case there is something that needs my attention. Um,
mm,
and I also know myself enough to know that coming wintertime, oh yeah, the hibernation is real strong. But typically
mhm,
mid-spring, I'm back up in the morning and I'm moving and doing things. So I don't beat myself up too much because I know the shift is going to come later. With the caffeine, it's because I noticed that I started to have jitters or heart palpitations or different things after either A, drinking too much of it in the morning, or B, drinking it after 4 p.m. So I don't do any
mm,
caffeine after 4, but I had to kind of test how I felt. The meetings before 10, it was looking at the data of my calendar and realizing that every time I did a sales call before a certain time, I never booked that client. And
mm.
I also was acknowledging the fact that I walked into those meetings with dread, you know.
Mm, oh,
So I'm like,
wow.
the same way that I tell people charge enough to not resent your clients, I also look at it like set your day and your schedule to where you won't resent yourself in the day, the schedule that you have.
Mhm,
So I might have a lot going on between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And that's fine. But it's between the hours that I know I'm most effective to deal with people. Now, I might work and do some projects at 9 or 10 o'clock, but I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not communicating with anybody. But my more functional communication time is between 10 and 4 p.m. I figured that out over time. And it's especially been more useful this last few months as I'm kind of going through like some other health stuff. Somebody here, let's see, had brought up a comment of 2 things that have helped is reading The Prince and The Art of War. Both have developing self and giving output only when necessary of giving yourself. So I need to add that to my reading list because
The Prince.
Although I've gotten pretty stubborn about where I put my time now. So I don't there's gonna be some people in my life that are like, please don't give her more power to say no. I've gotten really good at it. I've gotten very good at no. Because like you said, in the business, I do occasionally, I'm actually looking at a full-time job. I know. I'm a swim mom. I'm a bonus mom. I'm mom to a 30-year-old that's married that, of course, gets that mom advice. I'm, a wife. I'm a dog mom. And so there's going to be something or someone or somewhere that needs my attention on any given part of the day. And so I've been very honest with when I got it and when I don't. And sometimes it's, hey, I'm going to take care of it, but it's not going to be right now, though, because I don't have it. So thank you, James, for those resources. I will definitely take a look at those.
That's great. The Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli. The Art of War. Okay, yeah, I have that book. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard The Art of War, but I've never actually read it. So, all right, but I will add that to it, and I will make sure that we have some links for that as well.
Thank you
in the replay. But yeah, I think that being self-aware is another thing that's important when it comes to like stress prevention, burnout, where you put your energy, is just knowing you, good or bad, and being honest with yourself and with people so that you don't try to fit someone else's box or someone else's expectation.
Yeah.
Because the season that I'm in right now, it's not going to fit the season that I was in 2 years ago. Even though it's me versus me, I got to be honest and self-aware of where I am right now. And it's a fine line between giving yourself grace and giving yourself the permission to just not do jack shit. But it's a fine line of the two. I don't want to give myself so much grace that I just completely fall off. And that, because that's a whole different uphill battle. But being able to say that for today, I accomplished these 4 things versus the 10 that I thought I was going to accomplish, and that's okay.
Yeah. And that self-awareness piece, I mean, especially when I'm talking with clients, it's really powerful. And I do not take that lightly because you can be completely the opposite. Self-awareness is a skill. It's something you have to build. When you understand that something isn't working, your body's not responding right, for you to be able to answer that call, because we answer every other call. We answer every other call. So to build that self-awareness and listen to it, it's a 2-parter. Building the self-awareness that you hear and you're listening to what your body is saying, is communicating to you, and then responding. Yeah. And it's challenging because we think it's going to like knock us off our game, take us out and, disrupt what we're doing, what we're building. But there's also all those other roles that have caused interruptions. How many times are we interrupted as parents, It's like any role where you're servicing, like we are doing that. So we can interrupt ourselves. Like we have to give ourselves permission to disrupt ourselves, disrupt our mindset about, if I don't do this thing because I'm feeling this way because of this thing that's happening, then now I'm just like, I'm lost, or I'm going to lose that thing over here. And it's like, maybe we actually do need to lose that thing over here for us to understand the thing that we actually need. And that's a hard lesson. I don't want anyone to get to that point where we have to lose things in order to understand that we need to listen more. But sometimes that can be the lesson.
I've learned that lesson too. Again, thumbnails. Yeah.
These are perfect. Like, I mean, I want to see them immediately.
No, I have had to dig out almost annually for the last few years. And I know exactly where it comes from and the choices that lead me there, because the summertime is where I'm most imbalanced between home life and business life. And then it wasn't until last summer where I finally was just like, I finally hit my wall, where I'm like, we're not going to do this, or I'm not going to do this the same way we've been doing it. So, there are certain like swim and different activities that our daughter does where she's on two teams, and like, I only got the energy for the one team. So if you guys are adamant about her being on the second, that's great. You guys work that out. Getting her there, taking her to stuff. I don't have that anymore because I lose money every summer because my focus is so heavily into every day there's a swim thing between those two teams, getting up at 5 something in the morning for all the practices and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't have that. So I can do one, I can do the other, I can't do both. And so here's the one that I think is most important for her. And so that's where I'm going to spend my time. And so I think it took them a little off guard, but it was just like, oh no, she's serious. They've already, maybe we'll go back next year. You guys go ahead. I've retired from that. I don't do that anymore. And so because the digging out year after year is getting harder. Not to mention the market in business and the way we do business in general has shifted. It shifts a little bit year after year, but the last couple of years, the shifts seem to be way more drastic. And so the self-awareness piece that I have to have as a person, I now also have to have in my business, where it's like, we've done it this way consistently for this many years, and it's been great, but now it's not as great anymore. There's little hiccups and stuff that's happening, whether it's how we attract clients, how we take service to clients, the things that they're looking for that they need support with. We are competing with AI in a way, because AI is as great as the prompt that you give it. And God bless some of our clients. They're not that good at that, but they still have to go through it first and try and break it, and then realize, okay, maybe that's not my ministry. So let me go find some help. And then they come back then. But that's a difference for us. And so I have to be aware of all of the shifts that come into my environment on a day-to-day basis, because one shift in one category affects everything else.
Yes. And I'm glad you kind of putting the self in front of awareness, because that's actually a key part of it too. It's like one thing to have an awareness of your circumstances, what's going on, but the other is self-awareness. And for me, that speaks to me as more body-centered. What I have the capacity to do, what I have the emotional, regulation for, like, what can I emotionally regulate around, like, okay, is this going to be a moment where it's temporary? And so I can handle these two things that are happening, like the example that you gave with my children, and I can do these two things. And then, okay, the business over here. Okay. But no. I know myself. I know what I'm not able to do. This is going to be too much. I can do one over here, and then I can do this thing over here. It is so powerful to be able to do that, because we have just said yes to all of those things. One, because people say that folks could be people pleasers, or they could be whatever it is, or then you could have that certain level of me. Like I'm just kind of getting used to this mom role. Like I have, he just turned 2. So I haven't gotten into all the different activities that he wants to do and all these different things. But what I am mindful of what I can't do 5 things over here and 5 things over there and expect me to be 100% every day, all the time. I don't want to do it. Why would I even want to try? But some people are like, yep, got it.
I used to be. Yeah.
Right. And it's like later, and who knows, maybe they do got it. Maybe that's like, yeah. Is it the best choice? Is it the most healthiest choice? Maybe, that's something that's a very regulating and self-awareness tool you have to say, like, am I going to feel efficient taking on all of that during that time? Now, is it like, oh, this is going to be for the next 2 weeks? This is going to be for the next 6 months. Pause. But it is such a pros and cons. It's the regulation piece. It's the self-awareness tools, being able to know what's going to come up. And there are other things that happen. Like, I'm a student too, right? I know that I have about this much left. Like this summer, I had to finish my clinical courses. So I knew that one class I need to take is an advanced chemistry lab.
Mhm.
And some of my fellow classmates, they were like, I'm doing 6 to 7 hours of stuff in a week, with this. And I was like, I know myself during this summer. I'm going to be moving around and be bouncing. I'm not going to spend 7 hours doing assessments on labs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. And I have a 2-year-old that is demanding more attention by the minute, like by the minute. And I just don't want to be feeling, I don't even like the feeling that there's something else to do, or that I feel like I'm itching because I got to get something done. I don't even like those feelings anymore. So I have to, and that's a self-awareness about myself. It's knowing the feelings that you don't like to come up when you are in the midst of just a heavy activity time. So these are tools. These are absolutely tools when you're talking about stress management and burnout prevention. Like, these are the things, but it's very specific. You gotta think about those things. And I'm just not sure how much attention I'm seeing with the folks that I've worked with. Though those are not the skills that have developed, and
Agreed.
it's yeah.
Agreed.
And it's interesting to be able to have come away from that place and see where people are still working and developing and growing and learning. It's also, I know that it's my purpose to be able to do that.
Well, your purpose is going to be, I think, widely needed as time goes on. It's widely needed now.
Mhm.
Um, I think that honestly, the self awareness that I have is a blessing and a curse,
Mm.
um, because it sometimes helps me prevent certain things, but it also adds more weight because I'm in tune to acknowledging the things now.
Mhm.
Um, this surgery that I had is probably maybe the third surgery that I've had in the last 5 years. It's taken it to this point for me to finally acknowledge maybe I'm not going to be able to log back in and work the next day. Because when I had spine surgery in 2021, I told all my clients, oh, you don't have to worry about it. I'll be down for a day. I'll be back online the next day. I
Mhm.
genuinely believe that craziness. I had a 9-inch incision in my spine and didn't even acknowledge that I would be in the hospital until a few days before. I thought it was going to be an outpatient surgery and that I was just going to come home, rest, hop back on the computer. Because in my 20s, when I had surgeries, that's what I did. I was downish for a day and then I was
Mm.
back up the next day. I'm like 100
Speak
years old
on
now.
it.
And I have to kind of keep reminding myself that I'm not 20 years old anymore. I'm 275 years old. And so when it comes to the healing, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a
Yeah.
little slower.
Yeah.
And, not to mention they drug you pretty heavy. So
Mhm.
now it's one of those things where I'm like, here, let me find somebody in my team that's going to be the point person because I can't tell you when I'm going to be back online. I should at least be able to check my phone after a few days, but beware of me responding to you too quickly because
Mhm.
it could be the medication talking. So,
Yeah.
but even that, while part of it, it's like the worry of what if everything falls apart while I'm knocked out, but then when I checked in with my team, they were like, thank you for checking in. We got it. Go lay down somewhere. My lymphatic person that's helped with the swelling from the surgery saying, you're up and moving around too much. I'm like, I vacuumed. And she's like, exactly. And so, getting to be okay with sitting in a reclining position and
Mm.
relaxing. She didn't even like me sitting up at my desk for so long. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but sitting like this on a live is just weird. So I can't, because she was like,
Mhm.
just lean back and work. And I'm like, not on camera though. That's just odd. I haven't hit that level of casualness yet, but
Right.
anything's possible. Could change next week. But
Mhm.
even just giving myself that permission to understand that can I potentially miss a client during this downtime? Maybe,
Mhm.
but it's okay because that's not the focus right this very second.
Yeah.
When I have the energy to focus on it, great. But then there's going to be days where I feel like I can run a marathon. I'm not doing that
Right.
right now, but if you at
Mhm.
least have the energy to do so. And then there's going to be days where I barely get down the steps to function and fix myself some lunch.
Yeah.
And there's going to be an ebb and flow in each of those things. So I think
Mhm.
that to kind of wrap this up, because I have a feeling you and I could just sit here and talk.
I know.
And 6 hours later, we'll still be sitting here on the line. It's a marathon. I think that definitely the self-awareness piece, not just in stress management, just in humanity, a lot of people are missing that part. Because we're so busy looking at everything else, we're not looking at ourselves to be honest with what we do and don't want, what we can and cannot do, and where we should put most of our attention. And so I think that's a big part of it. I think the other part that I struggled with at first, but I've gotten much better at, is being able to trust people to take care of it for you.
Mm-hmm.
With my company, there's certain things and aspects that I am not good at. And I will be the first to be like, I don't even know why you guys came to me with this. This is not my thing. Just let me know who's responsible for it. So if I have questions, I know who to go to.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally that amount of trust of, you don't want me touching that. So I hope one of y'all has it. Otherwise, we're not offering it because I'm not touching it, but being able to know who you can go to give you that support, whether it's business or life. Excuse me. And so, and then I think the other part for me is, it's okay. I'm not going to do the cliche, it's okay to not be okay, but I will say it's okay to not be on point all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
it's also it's also healthy. We operating at 110% or whatever that means to people. We're just, chronic stress creates inflammation. We don't think of chronic stress. It creates inflammation, and it sometimes inflammation doesn't always show symptoms in the body. It is low grade, but it's constant, it's sustained. That's why we call it chronic. So to kind of have that build up over time, and we're like, I'm good. Like, I can do, I can do this. I don't advise anyone 20, 30, 40. I don't care if you're 18. I don't care if you're 55. It's inflammation is normal, acute, but chronic, sustained inflammation that is just constant wreaks havoc on our body. So
inflammation loves me.
It loved me too. That's what I mean. I'm like, right? We're talking from lived experience here, lived experience. And so that is why, I just empower, folks to kind of get off this like grind that says that we can't rest, or it equates to laziness, or not successful or professional, or all these labels. There's so many, and just empower people to refill their cup. That's what
absolutely.
I do. Yeah.
Well, so do you have any events, anything that's coming up that you want to share, that you want to tell the people about?
Tell the people on Entrepreneurs Unplugged. That's what I feel like. Okay. Yeah. So we have our first in a series. It's called Lunch at the Lake. It's happening. I'm in Columbia, Maryland, near downtown Columbia Lake, Meriwether area, if you know it. And we're working with Collective Offshore, a really amazing restaurant. And this is part of our Food Mood series, where we focus on a particular health topic. This one coming up on April 17th, Friday, April 17th, is around emotional resilience. So some things that we brought up today, really, and we get to curate a nourishing meal around that, talk about how that affects how we are supporting our emotional well-being, our emotional health, and also help ourselves set some action items. Like, what are some concrete ways we can actually support ourselves on a week-to-week basis? So we'll get to do that, and I'll get to do some coaching with folks in real time in the space. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm working with our sister company called Channeling Chi Health and Wellness. And we have an initiative called the Regulation Project.
Okay.
And that really focuses in on, we say it's for sisters by sisters. So it's women who are experiencing emotional dysregulation or physical dysregulation, whether that be from hormonal imbalance, a physical health condition, and we are supporting through restorative practice. And that is our first somatic reset, as we call it. And that is on Sunday, May 17th. We're having an amazing floating sound bath meditation, having a sunset dinner. I'll be, of course, sharing nutritional nourishment nuggets all throughout the event. And we are curating that specifically for our sisters. And sisters means folks who are in aligned, that are on their own journeys of well-being, of healing, of whatever that looks like. It doesn't necessarily mean biology, but we are empowering it to be specifically for sisters. So that we're excited to do that on Sunday, May 17th. It's at the Pearl Spa. We're partnering with them 4:30 to 7:30, and that's on my website, radicalrefill.com. It's also on Eventbrite. So you can check both of those out, and yeah, it'll be wonderful.
I can't wait to see pictures of the food so I can live vicariously through you all and
please do
make a knockoff version of it at my house or something. I don't know. But no, that's awesome. I love those ideas of the events and the partnerships and everything. So if you want to send me the links, we can make sure to put those in the chat so that people can see that on the replay. As far as SVS, we are just a reminder that we did launch the System Support Hub, which is an amazing community that we're building for entrepreneurs that are either earlier in their journey and don't have the capital yet to invest in some big, gigantic implementation of a project or a system. So you're doing it on your own, but you can now have kind of a, in case of emergency, break glass friend to help support you when you run into challenges. And it's also really great for past clients of ours, or even past clients who've worked with other companies and done large implementations, and now they're managing it on their own, but they still have those questions of, hey, this software just did a major update. It doesn't look like it did yesterday when I logged in. And now I don't know how to completely navigate this. Or this new automation came out. I'm afraid to touch it. Can you walk me through it? And so it's done. We're going to provide support in a couple of ways. One, where people can submit the challenges and things that they would like to cover. And we can record a Loom, walk them through how to do it. And that way they have it for their library. We are going to have monthly just, power hours where people can log in together, just bring their questions. And it's like a live hot seat where either I or a member of the team can walk them through how to, answer their questions for them. And then it's 2 levels to it, $297 a quarter or $497 a quarter. And that is per quarter. It's very intentional because I don't want the money to be the barrier. But at the $497 level, people also get a quarterly call with me where we can just talk through any challenges or strategies or ideas, or point people in the right direction on whatever topic they want to focus on that quarter. So that is available, and I will make sure to put the link to that in the chat as well. And if you do it this week and just kind of, it's Thursday, April 2nd. So if you join before, I'll say Saturday, midday, then we can also give you a really great discount. So I'll put the discount code in the chat as well for that. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. I had a great conversation. I always enjoy this topic because, like I said, everybody comes at it from a different angle, and because I am my own science experiment and I'm a work in progress. And so I think we all are, but it's one step at a time over here. But I appreciate you, and if you ever need me, I'm around. But otherwise, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Entrepreneurs Unplugged.